I always thought, like, even when I was a kid, I always thought that Bruce Springsteen way overdid it. Like, he's like, and I'm like, okay, we get you already sing like that, but I hear you sing now. You don't sound like that. You're trying to make it even like more like rock. You're rocking up a little bit like more than normal. Like, it's like,
could it be the fact that he had a big concert the night before?
Yeah, but he sounded like he was like on the toilet. He's like,
recorded live from Studio 12A in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. You're listening to the Josh and Friends Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the Josh and Friends Podcast. I am your host. My name is Josh. And this week, we are here once again to discuss the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Everything from our thoughts on this year's nominees to our selection results from last year, and we'll be giving our predictions for this year's class in 2024. We'll also be talking about the new Pearl Jam single, Dark Matter, giving a breakdown of the Netflix We Are the World documentary, The Greatest Night in Pop, and we tip our hats to a couple of lost legends in the world of entertainment. So let's get this show rolling and help me welcome back to the program. He is my buddy, the one and only, Mr. Ethan McDonald. Woo! Ethan McDonald.
Woo!
How you doing, man?
Man, I'll tell you what, I am jacked to be here, Josh. Jacked.
You ready for this? You love the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like all the other metalheads. They love the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Oh, yeah, because they totally get it right. You mean the not so much rock and roll kind of half-ass pop Hall of Fame? Okay, yeah, I'm ready to talk about it.
Yeah. So we're here today to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. Well, they're nominees right now, but we're going to talk about who we think are going to be the inductees. So we have that coming up here. But first, Ethan, Super Bowl 58 between the Chiefs and Niners happened a couple weeks ago. Just wanted to kind of bring up a couple things with that first. The most viral clip from that event was actually not in the game, but on the sidelines.
Yes.
With Kelsey and Coach Reed, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, him losing his mind and screaming in his coach's face and almost decleating him.
What did you think about that? Being a coach, what did you think about that? I mean, there's kind of two sides to that story, right?
There really is. And, and obviously there's the outsider who maybe doesn't understand the emotional aspects of football, looks at that and goes, absolutely not. And I loved it too, because anybody who's fans of New Heights and watched, and I know you even shared it between our little football chat, but like his brother lights him up for it. Jason's like, you crossed the line. Not only did you cross the line by like getting up and hitting bumping your coach, but you crossed the line by yelling in his face, because like that, you're talking to one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. Like, you don't do him like that. And you got to be smart enough to realize there's a camera on him 24/7. Like, there's no way in hell this was just going to be kept, to like within your sideline where no one else knew what was going on. So I love that part of it, but I also understand and love the side. I mean, I get what Travis was feeling. I get that he was pissed off, fired up, wanting to win that game, and was frankly pissed he wasn't in the game when that fumble occurred, or once in the game. And he has that relationship. Like, if you watch that whole piece, even beyond what was kind of on like the clips that were on TikTok, because I hate to admit I'm one of those guys that watches the whole podcast of theirs, because those guys just, I don't know, I love them. I love how real they are.
Yeah.
And listen, the only way you can do that is when you have a relationship like you have with Andy, like the fact that he knows that you have that passion, the fact that he came back over to you and you guys talked like, he's like, dude, I love you, man. I love it. We got this. Don't worry. I got you. Like, it's that weird thing where, like, from an outsider, we don't understand those two's relationship. Clearly, he drafted Jason to the Eagles, so he knew the Kelsey family. He then drafted Travis to the Chiefs. Like, there's family history of knowing these guys as far back as, high school in some cases, which is wild. So it definitely crossed the line. It definitely caused a lot of great, clickbait, I'm sure, for the internet. But go watch that piece if you haven't. People out there, I mean, it's pretty awesome, pretty real talk. And he even admits, like, yeah, I crossed the line. And yeah, you never should hit your coach and try to knock him on his ass. That's the worst idea on earth. So
yeah, I love the real talk between the brothers there. Is good, because yeah, like you said, like, I could see how people, and you did cross the line. You did cross the line, but It's intense. It's intense, especially being in the Super Bowl and being that passionate and that much of a competitor, right?
Well, and you think too, all the garbage Travis Kelce's had to go through this year, between injuries, between not playing up to his level into really the playoffs, to then just the never-ending media circus scrutiny, which he admits he brought on himself just by choosing to court who he courts. But like, I can only imagine there's so much more. Like, how does any human being keep their head, their psyche, and their heart like 100% focused on the things they should? Like, I can understand that there was probably other things psychologically working on him that probably caused that little bit of a emotional overflow as well. I mean, that's just a guess, but
yeah. Well, speaking of who he courts, this was the most watched Super Bowl in history.
Yeah,
this beat last year's viewership by 8 million viewers.
Whoa! Wow,
8 million more Swifties watched this game than they did last year. So the NFL must love this little soap opera they got going on here, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this is gold for the grandkiddies.
I did love the cutaway of, I don't think they showed it on TV, but Taylor Swift chugging that beer. That was fantastic. I
was awesome.
I like anybody chugging beers. That's why I love the Bills fans jumping on tables, and I just love all that kind of stuff. So that's just me.
The people that keep throwing shade at her too, it's just like, come on, I mean, especially being music guys, Josh, anyone who writes their own music and has that kind of success. I mean, maybe it's not all for me, but so much better than the majority of these pop artists who don't even write their own music. They're more performers than they are artists, in my personal humble opinion. Like, I've got respect for her. I respect the role model she is, being a high school teacher and seeing how many crappy ones are out there. Like, not to say she's perfect. Well, no human is, but just the fact that seems to be genuinely into this guy. I mean, who knows? But at the same time, I just get tired of like the shit. It's like, man, the NFL, this is the best thing that ever happened to them, hands down. And it's just been like, it's just been fun to kind of like stupidly hear like my wife is 20 times more. Like, I've never seen her more excited. Like, it's just cool to have. She's always been a Seahawk fan, and we've watched and talked about the Hawks, but to have her grow into more of an NFL fan. And so I'm thankful for that aspect of it too, just getting to spend more time talking football with my wife.
Hey, we haven't seen anything like this since Bert and Lonnie, so let's enjoy it while we can.
Well, yeah, Bert and Lonnie.
Yeah, you like that timely reference of mine? You like that?
So yeah, the kids will totally eat that up. Don't know exactly.
I want you.
You do?
Yes.
So there was a couple of big legends that died recently. We're just moving off the Super Bowl here, but yeah. So the first one that died was Toby Keith, which I mean, I'm not a huge Toby Keith guy, but he's got to be one of the biggest artists of the last 25 years.
How do you like me now?
The Oklahoma native had 20 singles top the charts, including How You Like Me Now and I Want to Talk About Me.
I want to talk about me, want to talk about I want to talk about number one, oh my, me, my, what a...
Following the September 11th attacks, Keith released, courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, The Angry American, written in memory of Keith's father, who lost his eye during service in the Army, supported America's invasion of Iraq. A decade later, Keith would become a household name on college campuses with Red Solo Cup. But 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with stomach cancer.
This is a roller coaster, and it takes a little while to get your brain wrapped around it. And then you get to a point where you just say, hey, this is what I do, and you can't let it define, your future.
Toby Keith was 62.
Huge artist. In the country world, he's definitely, I mean, he could be, top 3, top guy? Like, I mean, he was huge. So
has to be. I'm not a big country guy, and I know some of his music and know of him. I mean, that's just the fact that he obviously became a main pop kind of, that kind of like gravitas, I guess, for music says a lot.
Well, and every time I would make a playlist of like country, like I see the country that I would be able to tolerate when I would like, hey, there's someone goes, hey, put on some country. And I'm like, well, I made a playlist and it's party songs. So let's play some country party songs. And I'm like, Toby Keith has a bunch of party songs. So like, I love this bar and Red Solo Cup. And you know what I mean? Come on. Like, how can you not
some of his voice too, and just some of his flair just remind me of some of those more like the old outlaw country guys that I kind of like. If I'm going to drive to country, it's more that vein anyway.
Deep voice and
just a lot kind of manly.
Very. What's the word? He's very confident in the way he sings. I don't know. It's a style, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. So he what was he battling some sort of cancer, right?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. When I first saw you post that on one of the many death posts that you make on Facebook, I thought, well, like I go, makes sense. I mean, sad early, but I mean, it seems
Yeah.
like the guy lived hard. That was just kind of my initial reaction. And then somebody wrote underneath it a comment that cancer sucks. And I remember quickly looking into that and going, oh, that's terrible, man. I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
So I felt kind of judgmental and terrible.
Stomach cancer, I can't remember what kind of cancer, but
bummer,
just,
man.
you know, maybe it's all that whiskey. He's just always talking about drinking whiskey.
Might have been an old dip or chew guy too back in the day too. Lord knows how much of that. Who knows?
Yeah. Another legend, Carl Weathers.
This one hurts, Josh.
Or Apollo Creed and Rocky, or Colonel Al Dillon and Predator, and Chubbs in Happy Gilmore. So what are your thoughts on old Apollo Creed?
I'm telling you, man, I mean, talk about for people of our generation, Josh, a guy who is in some of the greatest movies for a teenage boy to have ever watched. I mean, come on, the Rockies. I mean, the fact that he's in almost all of them until the fourth one when he dies before he fights the Russian. I mean, when he fights the Russian, excuse me, no. I mean, his rendition of Coming to America with James Brown, or Living in America. Living in America. I mean, he's good.
Around to it.
Oh, my.
I'm
man,
like,
that's just like, I get jacked
really
every time I
up.
see that. Yeah, to come on, the greatest handshake maybe ever in history at the Predator. Dylan, you son of a bitch. And like, I mean, I'm stealing this totally from like Honest Trailers, but it's just like, I think that handshake just made me grow a mustache. Like, I mean, seriously, there's enough testosterone in that one handshake in that movie. And just like, I mean, then Happy Gilmore. I mean, come on, man. One of the greatest comedies, especially of our like teen years and stuff like that, getting into that college age there, and just his just the ability to make an ass of himself and laugh and kind of be this like weird sub character who's lost his hand to it. I mean, just how does that not show you how awesome of a human being is? And then being a excommunicated and kind of a recovering member of the Raider Nation, because I've kind of got that out of my system because I just got so tired of just a team that for the longest time didn't seem to care about winning. And going back to the Hawks, but just knowing he was huge to the Raider Nation, knowing that he was a diehard fan. He helped light the torch on several occasions, and just listening to some of the people that I really
played
respect.
for him, right? He played like a season
he was an old
or
NFL
two
player. Yeah, I mean, there's so much love there from the Raider Nation, and just seeing some of the really cool posts, even from guys like Max Crosby, who I don't mean just being a football player. How do you not, if you love football, how do you not love Max Crosby, just the way that guy plays the game, and listening to his stories about, you know, the impact he had. It's just, you just realize this guy was quick to be in charity. I was even a fan of that Star Wars show, The Mandalorian. He was great in that. I mean, he's just awesome. It's just, that's a huge loss way too soon for a guy that, man, did not look like he had aged a day in so many ways. I mean, he got the crazy. He looked fantastic. So that one was kind of shocking. It just broke my heart because he was even in one of those commercials for that Gronk, the
right. They're still playing it right now.
Right. And it's just like,
it.
How recent was that? Yeah. And I was just like, when that came up on the Super Bowl, I was actually like, oh man, that kind of made me emotional. I was like, dang it, man. So I'll be just an incredible guy, incredible actor.
Ethan, I saw something that was kind of funny that I don't know where I saw it, but someone was talking about how many times he died in movies. And I put together a list here. So he died in several of his films. The first one was in Bucktown in 1975.
Okay.
He was shot to death in a shootout with Fred Williamson.
Yeah, the Hammer.
The same year, a movie called Friday Foster in 1975. He was shot to death. He's getting shot to death a lot. Shot to death by Yaphet Kotto on a rooftop. In 1981, he was in a movie called Death Hunt, and he was killed by Scott Hylands.
I've seen that. I think my dad showed that to me when he was drunk one night. I'm not even joking. Okay, continue.
Of course, in Rocky IV, as you mentioned, he was beaten to death by Dolph Lundgren in Rocky IV, 1985. 1987, Predator.
Yeah.
Predator, he was stabbed by the Predator, and after having his arm shot off.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the crew hears his dying screams from afar.
True that.
And then Happy Gilmore scares the shit out of him, and he backs up and he falls out the back of the window and, falls to his death. But I was reading about this. I didn't know about this. Apparently, I think this is the stunt they were talking about. Apparently, he fractured a couple of vertebrae during that scene. when he fell backwards doing that stunt.
Yeah, when they got the alligator that took his hand.
And he was in serious pain for several years after that stunt there. So that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
There's another couple of TV shows that he died in, but the only one I'm going to bring up is a movie called, because it's funny. It was called The Bermuda Depths in 1978, and he was dragged underwater and drowned by a giant sea turtle. So,
what, did somebody like take too much
die.
acid watching The Love Boat? What is going on here?
I think he died I think they said he died in his sleep or something, but it sounds better than being dragged underwater by a sea turtle.
I bet that death was better than all the other deaths he had. Like, he didn't get beat to death. He didn't get his arm shot off by the press. Like, so he had a much better end than he did in many of his fictional depictions. So God bless him.
There you go.
R.I.P.
All right. Yeah. Rest in peace, Apollo Creed.
Well, I thought maybe it was a Judas Priest reference there. I was like, rest in peace.
There you go. There you go. Well, that just transitions right into to where we're going here, into music. So, Ethan, did you get a chance to listen to the new Pearl Jam song?
I did indeed. Yeah. I was getting just excited by some of the buzz I was hearing. I saw an interview, I think it was off Spin Magazine, one of the various social outlets I follow, and just what they were talking about on there in terms of this being one of their heaviest albums. And Mike McCready is saying, really trying to make this quick, make this get back to the energy of some of their earlier albums, and that's easy to say that. I've heard bands say that before, and it's like, all right. But I kind of liked what I've heard, and just McCready saying a lot more guitar solo stuff.
At the end of that song, man, you're like, holy Jesus.
Absolutely.
Whoa. What's going on here?
Yeah, it caught my ear, and I'm definitely excited for that album drop. I think mid-April, 19th or something around there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I thought it was funny that they brought back the crunching guitars. That guitar solo at the end is like, we're getting heated up and building up to that guitar at the very end, and then Eddie's bringing back that. I don't even know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we'll be looking forward to that. Maybe we'll give our thoughts on the full album at a later time.
I like that.
You and Sarah got a chance to watch that documentary, The Greatest Night in Pop.
Yes, we did.
What'd you think of that?
I mean, first off, for me, what an awesome blast from the past. I mean, especially as a kid, mom worked days, dad worked nights. Dad had a problem with the sauce. I got a lot of time being raised by my cable box. And I watched a lot of MTV. So for me, that was like, holy crap. I mean, from every awesome song. I mean, come on, man. Lionel Richie alone is just, I love Lionel Richie.
He's just a stud, man.
He's just a stud. His music
and he's
is
the nicest guy ever.
He is. Seeing all that from having to go through the stress of hosting the AMAs.
That was crazy.
That was
when
crazy.
They're pointing that out, that was nuts.
Yeah. Then to go over there and have to be the peacekeeper of some of the biggest egos, but biggest talents at the time. And I don't know, Josh, and I'm probably wrong just because I don't pay enough attention to popular music for the last 10 years, 15 years, as much as I probably could, but just so much of it doesn't appeal to me. I just was so blown away. And Sarah mentioned the same thing about the diversity of artists. But yet at the same time, the guy that they hired to come in to find how to put all the voices, you know all these names. I know you do, Josh. You're so good at this stuff. But the guy they brought in to figure out, well, who do you make sing with who? And this guy's Bruce Springsteen's got this really dirty tone. So we're going to have Kenny Loggins because it's so clean, just to kind of to accentuate some of those things. I thought even just thinking about how they arranged that to just once again, the incredible legend and just unmistakable brilliance of Quincy Jones. I mean, there's just so many pieces of things to take away from that were impressive to me.
Yeah, I heard a clip of Lionel Richie talking about, I think this was maybe it was on Kimmel. Kimmel asked, he goes, why was Madonna not there? And he goes, it was either Madonna or Cyndi Lauper. Cyndi Lauper, right when you hear Cyndi Lauper, that is Cyndi Lauper.
Distinctive.
And that's what they were going for. And I was like, that makes so much sense. Because I was wondering that too. I was like, okay, well, wait. The biggest artists of the time, obviously, you would have Madonna and Michael Jackson and Prince, and you'd have those the big dogs, right? And you don't have two of those, but not that. His explanation of Madonna definitely made sense because, listen, when you hear Cyndi Lauper, it's Cyndi Lauper. You know what I mean? It stands out. You're gonna go, oh, that's Cyndi Lauper. But and all those voices that were in there, come on. I was laughing I watched it with Jen. I was laughing when I saw how I always thought, like, even when I was a kid, I always thought that Bruce Springsteen way overdid it. Like, he's like, and I'm like, okay, we get you already sing like that, but I hear you sing that. You don't sound like that. You're trying to make it even like more like rock. You're rocking up a little bit like more than normal. Like, it's like,
could it be the fact that he had a big concert the night before?
Yeah, but he sounded like he was like on the toilet. He's like, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, dude, calm down.
Okay. Yeah,
calm down.
Bruce is kind of, to me, like, he's got songs where I love it, and there's songs where I'm like, all right, man, all right.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. I see, because we're not from the Northeast, you know. So
well, that's part of it too, I'm sure.
Yeah. I did like how, you know what I was most interested in hearing in that documentary, which we didn't get to hear, is what didn't happen, or on film, or what they talked about. They said that they were there until the sun came up. Ethan, how much coke was consumed that night? How much coke?
A lot of wine was consumed by the Al Jarreau guy because he was so drunk he could not sing his part to save his life.
Right, Ethan. But wine
is not
kind of makes you sleepy.
Good point, sir. Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a lot of wine and beer and whatever.
Lionel Richie even said at the beginning, well, I was kind of a man of the night. I'm like, oh, I'm sure you were, Richie.
Oh, yeah. There's the piles are over there. The cold beers are over there, guys. Yeah. But you mentioned egos, and I love the fact that I think, Quincy had the sign. Check your egos at the door. And you know what's funny? When they were talking about Prince and poor Sheila E.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. I love Sheila E too.
She was like, I feel like they, I kind of got you. I get it. She's like, I was dating him at the time. I get that they kept having me call him. And it's like, and to have there and sit there and try to get that fucking dude. Like, he's such a prima donna as it is. You know what I mean? Like, he's
recluse
and he's probably why the sign was on the fucking door, right? Like, if Prince comes here, make sure that he reads that fucking sign that's on the door. But he's like, he wanted it his way or no way, right? Like, he's like, well, I'll come in if I'm able to do a guitar solo in the other room. They're like, listen, we already have the song done. It's completed. We need voices. We need star power. That's what we need right now. We don't need a guitar.
Some of the egos, like even watching like Stevie Wonder trying to add the Swahili parts, and they're like, dude, they don't even speak Swahili in Ethiopia.
Oh my God.
But just seeing him, because he was like not around during the songwriting, despite them trying, right? And then
that was fantastic because fucking Waylon, who's my favorite country guy of all time, he's like, I ain't in this world. I'm out of here. And he fucking left.
He did. He was out of there, man. He was gone.
That was fantastic. I was like, oh, that's so great. He's like, I ain't into this shit. He's like, I don't do no Swahili. He's like, all right, I'm a Texas guy.
That was pretty funny.
But I did. You were talking about like just rounding up those guys and getting everybody situated. Can you imagine what a stressful thing that would be? It just made me appreciate Quincy Jones that much more.
Oh man.
That guy, he is a master. He's one of the greatest producers of all time. He was like a coach. He's like a conductor.
Yeah.
He was like
I want to see a whole documentary about his life.
Oh yeah, there's a great one out there.
Oh, I'm sure there is
about him.
Please share it to me because
it's fantastic.
He's unreal.
He's nuts, and he did. I mean, Sinatra, Michael Jackson, of course. He's done tons of people. Yeah, so. It was also kind of sad to see like all those guys that are just gone now. There's like 10 of these people that are they're dead now. Yeah, so kind of shitty, but that's what happens after 40 years, Well,
just even hearing like the cool wild range of voices, because you feel like these days with like everything being auto-tuned and everything kind of just starts to sound way too similar. Like I feel like so much of even like what popular rap is, and it just all sense what I used to love, the fact that we had all these like unique voices even in rap back in the day that were so from the angrier gangster stuff to some that were a little more pop friendly, but it's just like the Beastie Boys, but no one else sounded like them rap wise. There was just so much more diversity, I feel like, in the range of music, because like listening once again to Huey Lewis, love Huey Lewis, but then you got Hall and Oates there too, and you got to love me, I guess Daryl Hall, you got Hall there, and like his beautiful. I mean, there was so many unique ranges and voices, even from like the female vocalist to the male. I mean, seeing Diana Ross too, just like what a kick-ass presence she is. And I think they're saying at the end, she's like even crying. She didn't want
Oh,
the
that
whole
was
thing
so
to be
cool.
over. That's
I was
probably
like,
a lot of
damn,
coke
that's
too,
so
but-
cool, man. She's like, yeah. I was like, I don't want this to end. Like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck, that's like exactly how I'd feel, man. Like this, Jesus Christ, this is awesome, man.
Like, what an unbelievable collection of people, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So the fact that that even happened is amazing
Yeah.
in the first,
And then
the song is what it is. It's,
Yeah.
it's cheesy,
For-
but it's like,
for what it
whatever.
needed to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And giving
Yeah.
everybody a chance to kind of flex the muscle. But once again, even another appreciation for Bob Geldof and everything he did.
Yep.
Not only that, just like
that?
what an amazing human being to just try to coordinate all of that. That's pretty amazing. Oh, wow, Josh.
Here's the single right here, man.
That's crazy. Where did you come across that?
Oh, I don't know.
Rifton?
Probably. Yeah. So it has all the different people on it and all that good
That's
stuff.
insane.
Yeah.
That's awesome, buddy.
Yeah, pretty cool. But yeah. So that's a pretty good doc. So if you haven't seen that documentary, it's a pretty good documentary. It has all that awesome
Entertaining. I
old
liked it.
footage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Just to see all those guys like in the same room together is fantastic. I did like also Cyndi Lauper. She had like all that jewelry and shit. They're like, there's something weird coming through when you sing. She's like, oh my gosh, yeah. She takes it off. She's such a weirdo, man.
She is, man.
But that's what made her so great, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Ethan. I think we're ready.
Oh,
I think we're ready. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame discussion. Are you ready for this, buddy?
Yeah, as ready as I can be.
So I want to start off by going over my selection results from last year. I'm just going to go over these real quick here. So your boy Johnny and I, we did a pod last year, and each one of us only got 2 each. We only predicted 2 of the 7 each for our picks. And John predicted correctly that George Michael and Willie Nelson would be elected. And I said that Kate Bush and Willie Nelson would be getting in, which is hilarious because, now they're getting country people in here and everything. But I mean, I love Willie, but
Kate Bush,
the ones that we both missed were Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott, Rage Against the Machine, and the Spinners. Now, again, these are the picks that we're going to do, like ultimately at the very end, are who we think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will be.
How do you guess
inducted.
that? Clearly, you just
know.
proved you have no idea. There's like no rhyme or reason.
Listen, we're going to go through each of these artists, but we could say, hey, I think that, obviously.
Okay, this would be the time to say what we
like,
think we'd like. Okay, then we'll talk about our predictions at the end.
I mean, Ethan, my lock last year was Iron Maiden. That was my lock. But, well, I guess, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame notoriously does not like metal. They're starting to slowly put metal guys in.
I got a little something
Very
for them right here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they know how this machine works, but I'm gonna.
They're getting pop artists in there. They're getting
because that makes sense in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They're putting in like country artists, but not real rock guys. So
It's ridiculous.
Anyway.
All right.
So this year's class has been nominated, and it's a diverse group, like they've been doing. Maybe,
That's a nice way to
I don't
put it.
know. Yeah. So okay. All right, we're just going to start off here. So the first group up is A Tribe Called Quest. Ethan, what are your thoughts on A Tribe Called Quest?
The bits I've heard of them and I listen, I like A Tribe Called Quest. I feel like there's some pretty good musical talent in that group. I'll be honest, it's just, and this is just my naivety, I guess, of like when I was into that genre of music, that just wasn't a band I chose or came across as often at that time. And given it was tougher on us, I mean, you had to go buy music if you really want to hear. It wasn't like the streaming where you can just pull up whatever you want, obviously, when they were like, in the 90s and stuff like that. But what I've heard of those, I like, and I see the musical genius. I'm kind of amazed they're on this list considering the people they've snubbed and other things that clearly
they were snubbed last year. They were snubbed last year.
And that's the thing. It's like, how many people get to be repeat on the ballot that don't make it? Like, it's weird. Some of the bands that were so good that didn't, and then they're just not even on the ballot again. Or like,
Yep.
This is weird. I don't understand how that works. But yeah, I've got no problems with the Tribe Called Quest. And the things I've heard, I really I enjoy. I mean, I'll be honest right now, as I'm trying to think off the top of my head, can't recall one of their songs, which is embarrassing.
I have a couple written down here.
Here,
No,
go
yeah.
for
So these guys were masters at like sampling great tunes from the past and creating like kind of like a laid back hip hop kind of style, you know. But by no means, I'm not an expert in their music at all either. So I'm kind of right there with you. But I do like some of their hit songs, kind of like "Can I Kick It?" Scenario.
Yes,
that was a big one. Electric Relaxation is another one that I liked. I know they were influential, and the Hall of Fame loves influential bands. So maybe this could be the year. I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Cher. She's been a megastar for 60 years. So, Ethan, what are your thoughts on Cher?
I just remember that one video for "If I Can Turn Back Time." She's walking around in like the fishnets.
Yeah.
And then obviously, that's what I remember thinking, like, if all women that age had an ass like that, I'm joking, that's inappropriate, I apologize. But needless to say, second to that too, I remember her in that crazy ass movie with Eric Stoltz, The Mask.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and like some like acting and stuff. I mean, and my mom and dad would talk about her all the time, but I think her stardom with Sunny and stuff was obviously well before my time. So I just think of those couple weird, like almost one-off hits that somehow someone paid a lot of money to get played all over MTV radio, because they were all right songs, but they weren't like anything amazing to me. But I'm sure once again, her impact or influence on pop culture, maybe she's got a shot, but she doesn't have the musical chops I feel like a lot of the other people on this list have. That's my opinion.
Yeah, she's a music legend. She's a TV star. She had that variety show with Sunny. A movie star, like you said. She was in Mask. She was in a bunch of movies. Yep, there you go, Moonstruck. And she's had a huge success with many different genres of music. Like this one right here is like a disco album.
Take me home, take me home. Wanna feel you close to me.
She's the only artist to have a number one hit in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s.
Wow.
That's
saying
wild.
something. That is wild.
Yeah.
Wasn't aware of that.
She's had top 10 hits spanning 7 decades. And I think Cher, she might be getting in just because she uttered the words that get you into the Hall of Fame, which is fuck the Hall of Fame. And artists that have said that, artists who have said that before in the past, Ethan, Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates and Steve Miller of the Steve Miller Band, they both uttered those words. They're now both in the Hall of Fame.
Well, you helped me make my picks for later.
Yeah. There you go. So Ethan, if you believe in love, okay. Okay. Mary J. Blige. Known as the Queen of Hip Hop Soul and the Queen of R&B. What are your thoughts on Mary J. Blige?
I don't know that you could deny that she is super powerful and influential to that genre of music. Once again, I don't know enough, but a lot of artists that I respect that were the guys that I really liked out of the 90s kind of hip hop scene. I mean, they have nothing but mad respect for, like, they obviously included her in, I think back to that West Coast Rap halftime show of the Super Bowl a couple years back, have her on there, you know, with Dre and Snoop and all these legends. And I know like Ice Cube just says all that. I mean, the guys that I always love from that era, I mean, even though some of those haven't aged so well in terms of their musical content, but like the stuff I still go back to, like I still get it on in the weight room listening to some old Ice Cube and stuff. And like, so I've got a lot of respect, and like she had songs that were definitely like, wow, that's catchy. Like even for me that wasn't into that music, like, wow, that's catchy. But like I said, I just don't know her music well enough. I mean, once again, because of her influence and being like the credit of all that, kind of the queen of R&B or the queen of that kind of soul and stuff, and almost that crossover of bringing almost a rap kind of that hardcore street feel, but to the R&B. Like she had some, I feel like, street cred in her music and stuff too. So I could see her being one that's definitely in consideration as well for a spot in the Hall.
Yeah, just like you said, it's definitely not my style, not my genre, but I respect the talent. Most of the songs to me are just kind of like good singing and, kind of over that. The thing that I don't like about that style is kind of like that generic kind of like 90s, 2000s R&B kind of thing, which always kind of turns me off. But when she did team up with Dr. Dre for that Family Affair song, that was a banger. That was always played at like clubs and stuff like that. Back when I was like clubbing, me and Mr. Clubbing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Not Gonna Cry, Waiting to Exhale, Family Affair 2001, and Be Without You 2005. Those are some of her biggest hits. So we'll see. We'll see if that makes Ethan's list here. All right. Dave Matthews Band, your favorite, Ethan. Dave Matthews.
Right.
What
do you think? What do you think about your old buddy Dave Matthews, who lives in West Seattle now?
Oh, good for him. I thought he just took up a permanent residency at the Gorge Amphitheater based on
pretty much does
back in the days of security. Yeah. It's like I'm like, how many high old teachers of mine can show up to this place multiple nights in a row when I work security? I mean, it's almost got like a Grateful Dead feel to me in terms of the weird fandom, to be fair.
Absolutely.
Where you almost have to be a part of that weird cult to kind of get it. Like, they've got a handful of songs, and there's no question some of the musicianship of people in that band is first rate, but I just I saw this thing somewhere on TikTok or I don't know where it shows him doing some wacky ass dance, like super low to the ground. Do this because why is there a white man dance like this when he makes no music that makes you dance like this for any reason? Like, it was this.
Well, he is African.
South African, right? Is that I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Great. So he oppressed Africa. No, I'm joking. That's the history, not him. I don't want to blame him for the rest of it. Joking aside.
How dare you?
Like, there's just songs that, like, I just remember thinking, like, I felt like at one point in college, and I'm not proud to admit this, like, everybody's into this. Am I missing the boat? Do I need to? I remember trying to listen to those first two albums, and for a while there, I think I even pretend I liked one of them. And then I literally met Sarah, and I played some song, and Sarah goes, "This is terrible." She's like, "I thought you liked heavy metal. What is this? Like, do you play this because you think I'm going to like it?" I'm like, "Okay, if you don't like it, there's no reason to listen to this anymore." And then I was just like,
"Oh, that's funny."
I moved through that. Yeah, that's
funny because they were known as like a chick group. Like, women loved.
I think the ones that like to smoke a lot of weed, maybe, or take some ecstasy. I don't exactly know, but
yeah, I don't know. But yeah,
Sarah wasn't into it.
Those first two albums, those were monster albums.
They were.
Those were huge.
Oh, when you come crash.
And I always like to bring this up. This is the only concert I ever fell asleep in. So it's the only.
Did you eat an edible or something accident you didn't realize, Josh?
Maybe I was just laying next to everybody that was.
How do you fall asleep at a concert? But see, Exhibit A, man. Like, I remember I worked at the Gorge.
Can you even imagine falling asleep at a concert? Like,
no.
Even if you're just kind of like just laying there, like kind of like, enjoying it.
Even if you're like super drunk, like I stayed through, like I used to work the front gate, and then I go down and work the box seats, for the security thing. And I remember Lee was working when we were working at the Gorge at those times, and I remember just sitting there going like, I sincerely need to get up and get moving and do something here because I was tired enough, and I was just like, it was boring. I just felt like this show is so boring, and we had some old guys that had no business touring anymore that came through. That they were more entertaining to me.
Yeah, well, part of it too is. When they have those festivals, they gotta spread out that music, and I think I went like maybe like day 2, and like they're like, well, we got 3 days of music here, so
did they do a lot of covers then, or what did they do, Josh?
I heard one song that I knew, and it wasn't from those first 2 albums. It was from like, and it was, by the way, and it was the song that really annoyed the shit out of me, which is I Did It. He's like, I did it, and I was like, like. Really? Like, this is the one song that I'm like, yeah. All right, get me out of here.
Man, it was clearly no Hall & Oates in Chicago. I'll say that right now.
Yes.
One of the greatest concerts we've seen at the Gorge, my friend.
So I'm still pissed that Chicago was the headliner and Hall & Oates opened. Come on.
I know. It should have been the inverse.
How dare you?
Well, if they're out of touch, we're out of goddamn time. I'll tell you that right now.
Boom!
Yeah.
Boom! All right.
Round of applause, Eric B. and Rakim.
Out of Long Island, New York. So, Ethan, What are your thoughts on Eric B. and Rakim?
They're obviously, when they were doing their things, like they were talking to me, I think like fundamental, like the beginnings of rap. And I wasn't into enough of that rap, especially from the East Coast, New York, to hear them at the time when they were probably at their height. But just getting into artists that liked it. I remember a couple different bands covering versions of their songs, like Microphone Fiend, like just everything. I go back and listen to, I'm like, freaking legit. And I mean, he flowed well. He wrote cool lyrics. Many of these songs even clean. Like you could tell he was trying to cross into that radio play, but they never took off quite the same way as maybe Run DMC in terms of mainstream success.
Yeah.
But hugely foundational and important to a lot of that East Coast rap, in particular out of New York, stuff like that. So, I mean, I could see them just off of, once again, the legacy, the impact, the influence, even if they don't have tons of stuff that's necessarily, like tons of mainstream hits. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of what I've heard and what I know of theirs. I'm like, damn, these guys are legit.
Tom Terrell of NPR called them the most influential DJ MC combo in contemporary pop music, period.
Wow. There you go, man.
About.com ranked them as number 5 on their list of the 10 greatest hip-hop duos of all time. And Rolling Stone ranked them number 5 on its list of the 20 greatest duos of all time.
Wow. That's saying something.
Pretty wild, right?
High praise, man.
I know they're hits, but again, I'm by no means an expert. I'm a casual fan. I Ain't No Joke, Paid in Full, Follow the Leader. Those are the main ones that I kind of know. So, I don't know their full catalog, but I like them. I mean, I like the songs that I know.
Hit the studio, cause I'm paid in full.
All right. So wait a minute. Is this real? We got a rock band on here? There's a rock band on here, Ethan.
Somebody's drunk, Josh.
All right. The next one up is Foreigner. We have Foreigner, who is half British and half American. And of course, that's why they named the band Foreigner. Because wherever they are, they're going to be foreign, right? So I know the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame doesn't usually like bands like Foreigner and like Boston and REO Speedwagon because they're kind of like corporate rock. But they're on the list here. So, Ethan, what are your thoughts on Foreigner?
Well, I mean, probably because they're corporate rock and they're on the radio all the time. Here's a band I actually know quite a bit, quite a bit of their hits at least. And obviously having that kind of staying power through, I imagine it seems like some of those songs were late 70s through the 80s, having a lot of their big hits. And I mean, talk about like, I don't think you could buy one of those like rock ballad gold collections or whatever and not get like 3 or 4 Foreigner songs. They're like, I want to know what love is.
Oh, they're just tons of hits, man.
Tons of hits to like Cold as Ice and all these. I mean, there's so many. And I mean, to me, super catchy. They're still obviously dominating a lot of like classic rock radio. And so in terms of like, I'm sure a huge fan, but I could see it. I could see where maybe it's kind of like the rock that I think of now that sometimes gets played on a lot of these like supposed hard rock stations where it's like kind of a hard rock version of Nickelback, where I'm like, okay, a lot of your songs kind of seem formulaic, and in the 70s, I feel like you got away from that less just because of all the weird, cool things people were trying at the time. Like some of these songs don't sound that stylistically exactly the same. That singer's got such a great, clean voice too that I just love the former
Lou Gramm.
singer.
He's
Lou
fantastic.
Graham's voice is legit. So it's one of those things where I feel like, hey, there's a band that actually know quite a bit of the songs, but that's probably doomed them, and they'll never get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for that reason.
Hot Blooded, Double Vision, Blue Morning, Blue Day. I mean, these are all like classic rock staples, like Head Games, Urgent, Jukebox Hero, fantastic song. And Ethan, I've been waiting. Okay.
Oh, a girl like you.
Do you play that to Sarah and you're like, Sarah, come in here?
Sarah likes that one, and she likes I Want to Know What Love. She knows. Yeah, I mean,
the power ballads.
Sarah's a sucker for power ballads from that era.
Oh, come on. How can you not be? How can you not be? Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if they, vote in one of those, corporate rock bands.
Out of curiosity, the other ones you mentioned, Josh, is Boston or REO Speedwagon made it in?
No.
Well, there you go. I mean, come on, dude. If Boston hasn't got it, how the hell do you put Foreigner?
Boston has one of the greatest debut albums of all time.
Dude,
many consider it to be the greatest album of all time. That album is insane.
Yeah.
It's revolutionary because of Tom Scholz basically doing the album in his basement. It's insane.
working at
The story
Kodak.
is insane. Yeah. It's crazy. That guy's a genius. Literally. All right. Next up here, we have Jane's Addiction. I do love that song.
Yeah.
Love that
Caught
song.
Stealin's a pretty great song too.
Yeah. So they
Giving
were
them together.
in that late 80s alternative rock era with bands like the Chili Peppers, The Cult, Faith No More, REM. It was like right before grunge exploded. They were it, man. They were huge. So
Kind of pre-grunge.
Yep, like the first the songs that you were singing, those first two albums were pretty big, pretty damn big albums. What are your thoughts on them?
At the time, I don't think I understood them like so much of that stuff because I was the angry metalhead. So it's kind of like, what is this? But in retrospect, great. I mean, they even headlined a Lollapalooza show that I went and saw in Seattle, kind of like later Lollapalooza. Just to date things, I think the band just before them was Audio Slave off of their first album, which was freaking epic.
That's a great album.
Yeah, they were amazing. And just seeing Chris back in the Seattle area, he was just grinning the whole time. He goes, "Oh my God, it's so good to be." I mean, it was just like I this is not the subject at all, but I can't help it. To see Chris Cornell with Soundgarden, to see Chris with Audio Slave, and to see Chris when he was doing the Songbook tour. I saw all three.
Wait. You saw Chris Cornell in Soundgarden?
Yes, when they came back on tour, they went to the Gorge when they just re-released that album that why can't I think of it right now with the skulls on it? The
2010.
King Animal. King Animal, is that what it's called? Okay. Yeah. So they went and got to see them at the Gorge with like Queens of the Stone Age and Mastodon. Like it was an amazing show.
That's cool.
So saw them on the Songbook tour in Seattle, like when he was just playing acoustic and singing, which was incredible. And saw Audio Slave on their first tour with Audio. I mean, with the members of Rage. I mean, it's like, come on. So yes, Jane's Addiction. Back to the point, was the headline of that show.
Sorry.
Yeah. And that was like seeing them live just gave me a whole new level of like respect for them in terms of just the sound and Perry Farrell's voice. I mean, but what's funny is I feel like I heard more, and maybe that was just because of the transition of when that music was on, like when he was in Pyro or Porno for Pyros with his other side projects. So for a while there, I probably sadly even mixed some of those songs thinking, oh, is that Jane's Addiction? You know? So because obviously he's just so iconic with like his sound and his styling. But yeah, I mean, they're cool and they talk about influential because they are from that age, just pre-grunge, but you could tell pretty influential. I just don't know.
I mean, listen, the big thing during that era was all the hair metal, right?
Yeah.
So
and they're definitely not that.
That was what was ruling the charts, but they were like mixing into that, and they were kind of like the branch to that genre of. Because it's funny because when I'm going through those tapes of my dad, he's talking about both. Great. He's talking about both, like the Jane's Addictions and the REMs and all this stuff, and it's mixed in with the Nirvana and Screaming Trees and
programming KGRG back in the day, man. Kudos, man. I remember my dad even said like, "There's a lot of really cool music." I think it's not metal. Get away, it was just being done. But to your dad's credit too, old Lee there did him, and Lee Michaels doing an amazing job. I love those tapes. That was so
awesome, huh?
Yeah, amazing.
All right, so moving on. The next band is Kool and the Gang. Kool and the Gang. These guys, hey, listen, I got to just say, if you are watching right now and you don't know Kool and the Gang or the songs, you do know the songs because
yes, you do.
They're huge hits and they are like funk, they're soul, they're jazz, they're disco, they're soft rock. They are all over the place and they are successful at most of these. So, Ethan, what are your thoughts on Jungle Boogie? Jungle Boogie.
So many, man. Celebration. I mean, there's just like, to me, it's like, if these guys don't make it, then I'm sorry. There's someone needs just to burn this entire establishment to the ground. Like, the fact that I'm like, how are some of these not in already kind of a thing, And just like I said, the genre bending, cool aspect of this band, the fact that if I'm not mistaken too, they've got music that just like, that goes through the ages. I mean, just like different genres and eras. It's just so freaking fun to like listen to. I would be shocked if they don't make it in. That's just ridiculous to me.
They have so many awesome songs. That song, Summer Madness, I don't know if you're familiar with their catalog. that deep, but the song Summer Madness is so good. It is like, it's an instrumental, right?
Oh,
but
cool.
it's
No,
the
I'm not
sure
sure.
that they sampled, or DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince did, Summertime. It's so good. I remember, I don't know, maybe it was a couple of years ago. I was just listening to that song Summer Madness, just on like repeat. I was like, oh, this is so good. Oh man. No wonder they sampled this song. And no wonder I love that song, by the way. I do like Summertime. It's a fantastic song, but like, there's a reason why it's a fantastic song, because they sampled a great tune right there. Yeah. Ladies Night. They did like disco, famous disco songs, even like the post disco Celebration. I mean, come on. So yeah.
Get down on it. I mean, that's
they even have a Sarah song on here. Cherish the love.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So moving on, we have Lenny Kravitz. How cool is Lenny Kravitz? He's like one of the coolest looking rock stars in history.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, you're like,
Ageless.
oh man, I wish I could be like half as cool as that guy.
Almost exotic
cool
looking
looking,
human
man.
beings. If I was
So
a chick,
cool.
I'd totally do him. Sorry, that's just a handsome dude, man.
Right. It's like John Stamos and Lenny Kravitz and no, he's just a cool looking dude, man. Like, it's just guys that are just cool, you know what I
Well,
mean?
then just like songs that like that Are You Gonna Go My Way, like that almost channel like something that kind of was pop, but kind of almost sounded like channel
Hendrix.
cool Jimi Hendrix.
like
I was just like, oh man, and like even there's a kick-ass drummer in there, female drummer with their big ass.
Yeah, right.
hair, and I was
big
just
old
like, there's this
afro.
ass with cool visual. Like, what is this? This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't deny it. You know, and then there was even just other ones that were so catchy, like, Fly, and some. It's not Fly. What's that one that?
Fly Away.
Fly Away.
Yeah.
Like, the guy was just clever. I mean,
my favorite song. You see, yeah, you're right. It's funny because he does all these different. You could tell he's a fan of music. You know, he grew up loving music because his first hit was like a Beatlesque song with "Let Love Rule." You've got to let love rule, and then he did like the Motown Philly soul song with "It Ain't Over Till It's Over." God, so good. I remember I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this has to be a cover, right? Like, there's no way that this is just like his song. But he got like some of those famous musicians that used to play on those records
like the
to do
musicians.
to do that song. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, man.
That's brilliant, man.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then, I mean, so he was one of those guys that was able to have like big rock hits during the big grunge revolution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of cool. Like him and, Aerosmith out there, like competing right with those other guys. So Lenny Kravitz, I don't know if he'll get in, but he's definitely cool.
Definitely cool.
He has some good
That's probably
songs.
why I won't get in.
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry.
Okay.
Lenny.
Ethan, we have Mariah Carey, who holds the record for most top charting hits. So she has most number one hits by a solo artist. She's currently at 19 number one hits, only trailing the Beatles, who have 20. And she sold over 100 million albums. Definitely not rock, but if Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson and Madonna and all these other artists in there,
sure.
I mean,
if it's the Pop Music Hall of Fame, is really what they just needs to retitle this to. But
yeah,
Mariah Carey deserves to be in there, clearly. I mean, she was hugely influential. Like you said, just the number one hits. The fact that she had a vocal range that no other human being on earth had any chance in hell of
break
ever
glass.
Yeah. Like, it never appealed to me, or music, even as far like I could get behind some like Whitney Houston songs. I was like, yeah, Madonna. Even there's a couple Janet Jackson songs. There's just nothing that she's saying that really ever caught my ear particularly, but I know she was hugely popular. Yeah. I know that, that's saying there's so many people that are hugely popular that I'm like, what is this? That's just me. I'm a weirdo, but I like a little more dissidence in my music than most of this popular music has. So yeah, that's I'd be honestly shocked if she didn't make it, and just based off what you said, like the people that are already in, the fact that she is so influential and powerful, the fact
She's
that
an icon. She's like one of the biggest divas like ever in history.
look at the way Miley Cyrus lost her mind being up on stage with her, like getting to stand next to her, as she's winning her first Grammy or whatever,
Oh my God, I just got stuck in the rain and traffic and thought I was going to miss this moment. And I could have missed the award, that's fine, but not Mariah Carey.
Biggest Christmas song ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like hit number one a couple times. Emotions. Like I remember when I first heard that. That's like the first song. Well, Vision of Love and Emotions. I remember them playing.
Yeah.
This is an obscure thing, but do you remember that art teacher in junior high, Mr. Teller?
Oh, of course I remember Mr. Teller. Talk about guys I found high at a Dave Matthews concert. Josh, twice. Him and Mr. Ray. Do you remember Mr. Ray? He was the basketball coach, and like I think he was a Matthew. I don't know. He was my basketball coach. Those two came together, stoned out of their minds, laughing at me. Like, this is weird, dude.
That
I was working the front
funny.
gate. Like, I guess I'll let you in. I can tell you're high out of your mind, but whatever.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
That is funny. Yeah, no, so he used to play, which this actually, that matches up right with it, because like basically he would always play like the pop station or whatever it was.
Yeah.
While we were, drawing and painting or constructing whatever. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. But that's like there's certain songs from a certain era, like 1990 or something it was, and I was like, this reminds me of Art with Mr. Teller. I'm like,
so
yeah, that's because like he used to just play that on the radio.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, Oasis. The band is Oasis. These guys are some of the most least likable guys in rock music.
Yeah.
One of the biggest acts of the 90s, selling over 40 million albums. And Ethan, this is also one of these another groups that Liam Gallagher, this is a shocker, he said, fuck the Hall of Fame. He probably was drinking and like smoking.
Yeah. Well, I think he says F to anything. He probably didn't know he was telling to F off at that point. I'm not a big Oasis guy. Like, I get it. I get that they were huge. I get a lot of girls loved them. I was definitely more of a Blur guy. And I always hated the comparison of them, like the Beatles and the Stones. But I'm definitely more of a Stones guy, and I know that's offensive because you're definitely more of a Beatles guy, probably, my friend. But I know you love your Stones too, though. But I'm just like the Blur just had a lot more. They seem more edge, more interesting, and I mean, just even some of the other musical projects those guys have gone on to do with like the Gorillaz and stuff like that. There's like, I just find Blur far more fascinating. Never really got an Oasis, and part of it probably was what like repugnant assholes those two brothers were, despite probably being very talented. It's just Well,
I thought it was always funny that Liam Gallagher was the singer, and he was the guy that annoyed me because, like, whenever what's his name, Noel would sing the songs, and I was like, "This sounds better than your brother. Like, you're a better singer, and you write all the songs. So why are you like?
Why do you have your brother?
What is this? So, and he's the dick. He's like Liam Gallagher is the asshole. I mean, they're both assholes, I'm sure, like all brother bands. But I just think it was funny because remember that famous Unplugged when what's his name was all drunk and he was just sitting up there like heckling his brother, and I'm like, your brother's like killing it on stage. Do you know that? He's like, first off, he knows all the songs and he's doing them better. How do you feel about that up there watching while you're spitting on the audience down below? Idiot. God, he's an idiot. Anyway, so yeah, they had tons of hits. I was never a huge fan of Oasis. Like I like some of their songs, I guess, but I don't know. They kind of always
I can't stand his voice, man.
No, but like I said, like when what's his name, like Noel Gallagher would sing like "Don't Look Back in Anger," and I was like, that's a better song than the other guy singing. So why aren't you just singing
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So all right, okay, moving on,
please.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Dude, if they don't put him in, burn the place down again. Come on, man.
Ozzy is, I mean, come on. It's like
is
a no-brainer.
Sabbath in, Josh? Is Sabbath in?
I think Sabbath is in.
Not. It better damn well
maybe
be.
They have
there
to
would
be,
not
right?
be heavy metal without Sabbath.
Right, they have to be in. Ozzy's the definition of a rock star, right?
Absolutely.
He was wild. He was controversial. He had huge rock hits,
Huge.
big albums. He had one of the greatest comebacks in the history of music. I mean, he got fired from Black Sabbath in like 1979 or something like that.
Yeah.
Isn't that what it was? And yeah, so I mean, come on. Like he discovered some big rock guitarists. I mean,
Huge. Brought all sorts of
come
people's
on.
careers to the forefront. I mean, his music's incredible. His one of a kind vocals that nobody can really reduce that or repeat that. I mean, that's the thing. It's Ozzy.
Yeah.
I mean, iconic. The fact that Randy Rhoads, obviously, that's obviously hugely stands up. But some of the other great musicians that you got, like, I don't know that Robert Trujillo would ever be with Ozzy, would ever have been the bass guitarist for Metallica had he not been with Ozzy after leaving Suicidal Tendencies and just getting to tour with those guys. Metallica, something said, damn, this guy's got chops, man. And like, there's so many people he's probably directly just by being in his presence, has just elevated, not to mention his whole pop show things. Like, as crazy as that show was, the Osbournes there too.
Crazy, hey, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as foes. Maybe it's not too late to learn how to love and forget how to hate.
The fact that they're the ones that resurrected Ozfest, and then how many people did they promote through that? Just by touring and making metal in the late 90s, 2000s, bringing it back to the forefront and making it just metal-based giant festival shows. That thing was one of the more successful shows at the Gorge in terms of numbers and the crowds and all that of any of the things that we did. Back in the day, the security right around that 2000, 2001 time, and it was just like there's so many ways that even beyond just the music he was making through the 80s and 90s and his comeback, that he affected music and affected pop culture. I mean, I still think of the great skit on SNL when he's trying to order food and they can't understand a word he's saying, so they make him sing his order. I want to burrito then, because then they can understand what the hell he's saying. It was like one of the funniest, Horatio Sands just did a great Ozzy. It was pretty funny. It was, just so many things. I mean, that's just a huge thing.
I mean, come on, this has got to be
consider all that.
It's got to be a lock. I mean,
I said this last year, but
you never know. You never know with the fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, come on.
Well, has he told the Hall of Fame to go fuck themselves? That would be nice to know, because then we could make our choices.
I don't know. Ozzy's gotten pretty, he's not biting off bats or snorting up ants anymore these days. He's had some health problems. He's kind of, probably, I mean, I can't believe he's like he's one of those guys that, wait, how old is Ozzy?
How are you still alive? What is your Keith Richards deal with the devil? What's going on with this, man? Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two need to make a band together. Just called Cheatin' Death.
But yeah, how many iconic songs does this guy have as a solo artist?
Dude, as a solo artist.
It's crazy.
Not to mention the songs that, are just, they're Sabbath songs, and I'm sure he didn't have a whole lot to do with writing the music of it, but are so iconic Ozzy when you hear it,
Yeah.
One of the most disturbing songs I've ever heard is that Black Sabbath, it's the very first song, the Black Sabbath, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And it's it sounds like you're literally descending into the hell.
Yeah.
And his oh God, God. He's like, oh.
Don't you sometimes wish that you could go back in history and hear something like that for the first time? Like, in that year,
mind-blowing. It had to be mind-blowing. There's nothing like it.
What is this?
What is this? It'd scare the hell out of you. Because even Ozzy, when I was a kid, I think I heard I think one of the very first Ozzy songs I ever heard was "Bark at the Moon," and I'm watching the video on MTV going,
"It's like werewolves."
Because you see Ozzy's kind of a little chubby then too, yeah. And there's some weird shit going on. I'm like,
yeah.
There's some hot lady. I'm like, what is going on? I'm terrified and half aroused because there's a hot girl in this. I could tell what was going on. I was probably 8. And I was just but that was I remember that. That stands out. And part of it was the way he sings. Come on, dude. Crazy Train might be
think
one of the
about this.
classic songs in history.
His first hit, or their first big song with Black Sabbath is Black Sabbath. And then his first solo big song is Crazy Train.
Dude, man, come on.
Come on, man. It's nuts.
It is. It's absolutely
But he even
crazy.
had, God, I love the No More Tears. I love that.
That's a great.
I love that. I remember loving it. It's so good. And then even the ballad on that, Mama, I'm Coming Home, is fantastic too. So
many. Even
good
that
stuff.
one weird album he came back with in the more mid to late 90s. I like songs like Perry Mason. I'm like, how do you write a song about Perry Mason and it's getting like airplay? Like what's going? But it was a sweet rocking song. We need Perry Mason. Like, what is going on? Like, dude, he hasn't made a show since like the 60s or something, right? Like, this is 1990. Yeah. It's hilarious.
Ozzy. All right, so Peter Frampton, the famed Frampton Comes Alive from 1976. It's estimated, Ethan, that Frampton Comes Alive, that album, sold nearly 20 million records alone worldwide.
So you consider that a live album, obviously. Is that the highest selling live album in history? It's got to be, right?
It's got to be up. Okay. I mean, it's got to be way up there if it's not. I know that Alive by Kiss was a big live album, but I mean, Frampton Comes Alive, that's like, I mean, I know at one point that was like the biggest selling album of the entire 70s, maybe before Rumors and Hotel California came out, but I don't know. The album, it was so monstrous that it's like one of those things like, it's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, you have that album, then you're like, oh shit, now what? Like, he was so big.
How do you follow that? Yeah.
And then, oh God, Ethan. So then he followed up with I'm in You.
I'm in you. You're in me.
Fucking terrible song. And if you look at the charts, it was so highly anticipated that it's like one of those ones that like after, if you're like, those bands that like, everyone's like, oh my God, I can't wait. I'm just going to go out. I'm going to buy it no matter what. I don't care what it is.
Slump.
And then you buy it and you're like, fuck is this shit? Like, fucking suck. And then
it might take you a few listens at first because you're so excited. You're like, okay, no, you're trying to convince, no, this can't be that bad, right? It's got to be, like, no, man, I can't. This is terrible. I can't listen to this.
Fuck, it's so bad. And then, I mean, this is just my opinion. I mean, I think it was bad, but that's what, if you read too, like about it, like when it came out, people were like, what the hell? And then he followed it up and he did the next year with, he was in that Sgt. Pepper movie, which was a disaster. Like it was like, some say it was like the worst movie ever. And it was so bad. And then, it's like with the Bee Gees, it's like Frampton and with the Bee Gees all like, it's so bad. If you ever don't watch it. Don't watch it.
Yeah. You've really sold it well.
And then, so he basically never had another hit again. So it's basically, so his solo career, he started out with Humble Pie as the, guitarist and then he left to have a solo career. Frampton Comes Alive. I mean, he's a fantastic guitarist. Yeah. So if anything, he should be in just for being an awesome guitarist and touring for 35, 40 years or whatever on that album. But, Baby, I Love Your Way. Do You Feel Like We Do? Show Me the Way. Yeah. I mean, those are all staples on classic rock radio. Yes, what are your thoughts on Frampton?
You've covered it well. Like the songs I've heard, obviously that one album was huge. I didn't realize that it was all just one album. I just never did enough deep dive. But like, clearly I thought, okay, this guy seems to only play live, which cool,
Well, he had an album like the year before, which had like those songs on it.
Yeah.
But that album didn't even do anything.
Interesting.
It's when he recorded it live. Then
the energy of the crowd and the cool weird thing when you put the thing in your mouth, the weird that he's like so known for.
And listen, and it didn't hurt that he looked like a pop idol, right?
Sunshine, man. He looked like California, being marketed. There's no question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just good stuff. Like I just think like, dude, that's like quintessential 70s, like just sweet cruising vibe music kind of a thing. So
it's so good.
I mean, I like it. I don't know. Is that enough though to make you?
I don't know. That's kind of what I'm struggling with. I'm like, it's one of the most iconic albums of all time, but so is Boston, right? The Boston album.
Come on, once again, how is this that different than Foreigner? I mean, it is, but it isn't, right?
Yeah,
it's not corporate rock, but it seems to be bubblegum kind of like in terms of.
Guess we'll see, man. Guess we'll see. I mean, is he cool enough for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Sade.
Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
coast to coast, which is always funny, by the way, that lyric. Coast to coast, LA to... Oh, I guess we're stopping in Chicago.
Yeah,
coast to coast, LA to Chicago. Maybe it's the coast
geographically challenged.
Maybe it's the coast of Lake Michigan or something. I don't know. But no, dude, I'm telling you right now, I love Sade. I do. I like Sade. Sultry voice.
Very sultry. What other hits did she have beyond
jazz?
that song, though, Josh? Like, I know she must have had something I'm just not recalling. That one, I can even see the video.
Yeah.
I can remember what she looked like. I was like,
oh, and
dang.
she's hot. She was a former model. Yeah. So Smooth Operator, Hang On to Your Love, Your Love is King. They're all kind of like that similar kind of vibe.
Karaoke of all these by you, please?
Yeah. No Ordinary Love. I think that was from that movie. What was that movie?
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
This ain't no ordinary love. Yeah. Sweetest Taboo, Soldier of Love. I mean, she has, what's funny is she's big here, but she's huge, like in other countries. I mean, she's monstrous, but yeah. So, I mean, I dig her songs. I mean, she's not my favorite artist of all time, but on this list, I really like, I like her on here, but it's kind of an interesting, pick for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but
it is.
I guess there's a lot of weird picks that they do. They throw in some random people in here, but I don't know. Do you have any further thoughts on Sade?
No.
All right.
Glad
so
you said her name right, because I would have messed it up.
Yeah. Sade. Okay. So last, but I don't know if it's least. I don't know. Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor. And you know how
a lot of love in the last year, like.
Yeah, of course, because she dies. So, like, this one, I don't know.
Feels like an emotional kind of token.
Yeah, it's kind of like when they had Kate Bush on there. They're like, "Ooh, she's like the biggest thing in music right now with Stranger Things." Maybe we should
let's just
think about
get with hers on.
But like, what a slap in the face! They put her in the year after she dies. Like,
yeah, come on, man.
I don't know. So I don't know. This kind of escapes me, Ethan, and I'm going to tell you why. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I know they like to, like I mentioned, they like to induct edgy kind of like rebels, right? And she was certainly one of those.
Yeah, certainly
artists,
that.
right? But
how much original work did she create, though, Josh? I mean, like her biggest song is a song written by Prince.
I was just going to say, this is about as solid a one-hit wonder as you can get.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's the case, are they going to start like, I mean, I could think of like 20 other one-hit wonders that should be on here before Sinead O'Connor, if we're talking just music, but I don't know. I mean, maybe, how do you think Lee would feel if they put like Lou Bega in there? A little bit of Monica by my side.
After our trip to Mazatlan, I think he was probably the Mambo number 5. I think alone, he's just ready like to murder somebody. If you ever heard that song again,
I would vote the best. I would vote like Wild Cherry, Play That Funky Music, or Dexy's Midnight Runners with
or how about Cherry Pie by Warren? I'm just joking. The video alone was. I'm just teasing.
So they have a couple of hits. They can't be.
They're not really a one-hit wonder. I was teasing.
Yeah. No.
You just said Cherry, and I got excited.
Tommy Two-Tone, 867-5309.
Yeah.
I mean, I like
that's a good one-hit wonder.
He wrote that song.
Well, the thing that's weird too, Josh, with Sinead O'Connor is, I'm curious, did they like re-release like an album of hers or something? Because I saw that in one publication I was looking at, they were saying that if it must have been released, that was like the album of the year. And I'm like, I'm sorry, did Sinead O'Connor make new music that I was on? Like, I was kind of confused, and I could be just completely misremembering seeing some other posts more about that, or if it was just that her like people went back and started streaming her album a ton because she died. Like, is that
that's a good question? I'm not exactly sure, but
I was wondering if maybe there was some more heat there for some of these weird reasons that I'm unaware of.
Yeah, so I did look up obviously like her chart success,
right?
And she has chart success in other countries like Italy and Ireland and stuff like that. So. But it's not, again, they're not huge. No. Obviously, you look up, the Prince song, Nothing Compares to You, and that's like number 1 across the board.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to see. You're like, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You're like, holy shit.
I still love Chris Cornell's version better.
That's a good version. But he's doing her version, so.
I'm saying everybody, yeah.
But I don't know, maybe they're just trying to, like I said, branch out to the world with like some of these picks? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Because that's what the U.S. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's all about. I'm joking.
I don't know.
I know, buddy. How do we? Believe me, I'm left guessing too. So
if that's the case, how come Thin Lizzy isn't in here? Right?
Damn
come
it,
on,
right? Come on, dude.
Come on. Are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I mean, they could be. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm
I
guessing
stopped
they're
paying
not.
attention as soon as they
They're
got
a little too hard.
Good point. Hey, too edgy.
All right, Ethan. So now what we're going to do is we are going to give our predictions on who will be voted in this year. So I think we're just going to go. You're going to give me your list, and I'll give you my list. But remember, last year I only picked 2 of 7 of these correctly. And yeah, so let's see if we could beat 2 out of 7. Do you think we can do it? Let's give it a shot.
Who knows with these people?
So give me your list, buddy. What do you got? What do you have going on? Who do you think is going to get in?
Mariah Carey.
Okay.
Mary J. Blige.
Mm-hmm.
I really want Ertegun and Rakim. I'm hoping. Kool The Gang. Ozzy Osbourne.
Okay.
I want to go a Tribe Called Quest for 6.
Okay. Wait, who's your 7th?
I'm hoping. I mean, this is stupid. I should probably pick stupid Oasis. I just can't. I can't pick Oasis. I'm not picking them. I'm just gonna hope it's Jane's Addiction.
Okay. I'm gonna hope.
That's my 7.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's
here we go.
Hope is not a strategy.
You're
Josh.
going with the heart,
right
not the
now.
brain.
Yep. I can't help it. There's something like I can't say this band's name and like be.
Okay, so all right.
Sir.
I actually dissected this time.
I bet you did.
I tried my best to figure out their algorithm to see if I could break it. And I went back to 2022 and 2023 and I did my research. So in 2022, they picked Pat Benatar, Chick Rock.
Hit me with your best shot, Josh.
Duran Duran, who's your one of your bands there.
I love it. I'm hungry
pop
like the
rock.
wolf.
Yeah, little new wave pop rock. They did Eminem for hip hop. They put in a diva for the Eurythmics.
Oh yeah, Annie Lennox.
They had a country star with Dolly Parton. And they had Lionel Richie for R&B and dance. And then they had Carly Simon for singer-songwriter. Okay? Now, this is where they started. They just started. They're like, they just put their little toe in the water and they're like, it's a little cold, but you know what? We're going to test it out. And they put Judas Priest in for musical excellence. Whatever the hell that is. That's a special category. They weren't even like officially inducted. They were like musical excellence award, Ethan. So
what's that even mean, man?
So, I don't know. It's the fucking All right. So 2023. So what they did was they had Sheryl Crow in Chick Rock, Missy Elliott for hip hop, Rage Against the Machine for metal,
which is amazing that they got in.
It is. I was actually shocked. George Michael for pop and dance.
Not that they didn't belong. I'm just sorry. I was saying like I love Rage. I was just shocked based on their. Sorry.
Oh
Continue.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, yeah. We were both shocked for the same reasons.
Yeah.
And I love that. What's his name is the only one that showed up.
My name is Tom Morello, and I'm 1/4 of Rage Against the Machine. Tonight is a great opportunity to celebrate the music and the mission of the band, to celebrate with the 5th member of the band, and that is Rage Against the Machine's incredible fans.
He's like, I'm the only one that's here, so I guess I'll accept the award. Yeah, so because he's a history of like, you know, of music and everything. He's very, very knowledgeable. So he kind of respects just being a part of something like this, I guess. Willie Nelson they had for the country. Kate Bush, world vote, Ethan. And then they threw in for R&B and dance. They put in the Spinners. So going with their algorithm, Ethan, algorithm. Here are my 2024 inductees. For pop and dance, Mariah Carey. For Chick Rock, and this is a stretch calling it Chick Rock, we have Cher. For rap, or hip hop, we have Eric B and Rakim.
Okay.
For R&B and dance, we have Kool The Gang. For world, we have Sinead O'Connor.
Yeah.
And then for metal, there's really only one choice here, right? It's got to be Ozzy Osbourne.
I like it.
So that is my choice for the metal pick, because each of them like, if we have to put in a metal person, we'll pick one.
Clearly,
It should really be a bunch of metal guys by this point in time, but whatever. Is Megadeth in there? Megadeth should be in there.
There's no way there.
No.
I mean, should be, but there's no way. I mean, I'll be honest too. I've got this buddy I've been making playlists for because he's kind of like we like a lot of similar music, but he doesn't know a lot of the old school, and he makes me make little playlists I call 10 songs you should know. Yeah. And we get like Sepultura and Slayer. Like, come on, man, Slayer was unreal. I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but they're musically unreal. And like, I love that like Jimmy Kimmel had them on when they were their like final tour and everything. They're like shredding on Jimmy Kimmel. It's like, it's about time for me to get these guys some. Sorry. But like, there's bands that are like so much more musical and stuff like that than some of the stuff in there. They won't even get like a nod. Sorry, I'm done.
Isn't that wild though? I mean, that's wild, right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay, so last is Peter Frampton. So those are our picks, everybody. What do you think? What are your guys' choices?
Tell us, man. Get on the comments.
Is Foreigner going to make it in? Foreigner?
I wish, but no.
I mean, they're too commercially successful, right? They have way too many great songs to be in there. I think that's always how I think about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And what's the guy's name? It's the guy that runs the hall. He's the old Rolling Stone guy. Jann Wenner or whatever his name is. As long as he's alive, I don't think bands like that might not be getting in because they're not cool enough.
Yeah,
who knows though?
Too mainstream.
Who knows? Ethan, is there anything else you'd like to add, buddy?
Not at all, man. This has been awesome. Thanks for having me again, brother. And always a good time.
Yeah, we'll do it again, man. We'll do it again. Yeah. So make sure to subscribe and like and do all that other crap that people ask for.
Yeah, get this out there to the people. Tell us where we went wrong. Tell us where we went wrong.
Yeah. I'm sure. Listen, I'm guessing I'm going to get two of these.
I think you're going to get it, Josh. I'm going to claim you're going to get at least 5. I like the fact that you're trying to crack the algorithm. I feel confident, brother. You got 5. Like, I almost like to go back and edit mine, and because I forgot about Cher. I think I'd like to take Jane's Addiction as my last feel and throw Cher in.
Do you want to change it right now? You can change it.
I'd love to do that. I'm going to change out Jane's Addiction and put in Cher because I was like, shoot, I forgot about it.
Just remember, there's no going back. There's no going back, Ethan.
Cher's my locking it in. It's my final answer.
All right,
Regis.
All right, Ethan. Thanks again for coming on, buddy. And for Ethan McDonald, I'm Josh. And as always, thank you for being a friend.